Welcome in KC Sports tonight on a Monday. Katie Maher, Mark Poulose, and weirdly, a lot to talk about on a seemingly dead day. Mark, this was your story today. Chiefs have reportedly requested and are going to, if they haven't already, interview Eric Bieniemy, good old EB, possibly coming back to Kansas City as offensive coordinator. Give us the details.
Well, that's pretty much it till today. The Chiefs, according to reports from NFL Network and ESPN, have requested to interview their former offensive coordinator and the current Bears running back coach, Eric Bieniemy, to be the offensive coordinator once again here in Kansas City. And I mean, all signs really point to EB coming back to being the offensive coordinator here in KC. Matt Nagy doesn't have a contract for the upcoming season here in Kansas City. The Chiefs think he's going to be a head coach elsewhere. And the Chiefs, we know what they like. They like familiarity. They like people that they know. They like people that have had past success. Eric Bieniemy definitely checks all those boxes. But Katie, to me, this was a little bit funny because we know the Chiefs, obviously, you kind of have to dot your I's, cross your T's. You have to request the interview. What would the Chiefs ask Eric Bieniemy in an interview? Do you want the job? Do you know the playbook? Like, because he knows all these.
Who is our starting quarterback? Yeah. Name our Hall of Fame tight end.
Yeah, I think he'd got it.
Yeah,
but I know a lot of Chiefs fans, to me at least, it seemed they are a little frustrated with this pick of Eric Bieniemy, obviously potentially becoming the Chiefs' next offensive coordinator, again, with all signs pointing to that. But to me, I don't understand why a lot of fans think there's a big drawback to this hire. A lot of Chiefs fans, it's like they just go on YouTube. They saw the Chiefs struggled this year. They have one guy that has a film breakdown. They read one thread on Twitter, and they come to they deduce that Andy Reid can no longer coach football in the National Football League. Like, if you were another team and you hired Andy Reid to be your head football coach, to be your offensive mastermind, and he wanted to bring in Eric Bieniemy, there are 31 other teams in the league that'd be like, we had a home run hire. This guy's won 3 Super Bowls in the last 5 or 6 years. Like, the guy knows how to run a program. He knows how to scheme guys open. But for some reason here in Kansas City, because we've seen this for so many years, I think maybe familiarity is breeding contempt, and people are forgetting the fact that the Chiefs have. I mean, Andy Reid, we were talking about this in the sports office earlier. Last year, 2024 season, was a finalist for the National Football League Coach of the Year. Like, the Chiefs coaches, the main guys, have not forgotten how to coach football. So I'm excited that Eric Bieniemy is coming back. I think he's a great leader of this team. I think he gets onto the players in a way that maybe other coaches did not. And to me, I think this is a good hire. Katie, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, throughout the day, you and I have both seen a lot of fellow media members like retweeting old tweets, resurfacing old tweets of like 2023 sound bites from Mahomes and other guys on the team talking about what an amazing man they think Eric Bieniemy is, how he's a coach that you want to play for. I mean, he was the offensive coordinator when the Chiefs' offense was fantastic, so that has to at least count for something. Is he walking into a very different situation than he did back before 4 years ago? Absolutely. He's walking in. Mahomes, obviously, with a repaired ACL, I should say at this point. Travis Kelce, possibly not playing next year, maybe playing next year, still to be determined there. They don't have a solid running back situation going on. They don't have Tyreek Hill. It's a very different situation from the last time that Eric Bieniemy was in Kansas City. But if that's what they want to do, like, obviously he's a guy that Mahomes has said that guys want to play for, and that might just be what this offense needs, someone to fire them up and someone that they want to play for. So,
well, and let's just rewind the clock back 3 or 4 years when Eric Bieniemy was still the offensive coordinator here in Kansas City. I felt if you took the pulse of Chiefs fans and you asked them what they thought about Eric Bieniemy, they would sing the song and dance of how they think, oh, Eric Bieniemy needs to be a head coach. It's a travesty that Eric Bieniemy is not a head coach in the National Football League. Now you fast forward to now, January 19th, 2026, the Chiefs, it looks like they're going to hire him to be their offensive coordinator, not their head coach. And people are like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? It's like, well, the same people 4 years ago were telling everyone in their life that Eric Bieniemy should be a head coach. So what is it? And it's like, well, look at what happened in the last couple of years. He went out to Washington and was their offensive coordinator. Who was their quarterback? Sam Howell. You could have had the best. You could have the best play caller in the history of the planet. Sam Howell's your quarterback in the National Football League. It's not going to go good. He goes to UCLA. That was a sinking ship, but he planned to come back to the NFL after 1 year. Anyway, he does that. Doesn't find an offensive coordinator job. Goes to Chicago, where he's working under probably one of the hottest names in all of football. Ben Johnson, kind of learn how he attacks defenses as their running backs coach. You see their running back Swift had one of his best years of his career. There's a 7th-round pick yesterday that was making plays. I forget his first name. He went to Rutgers, Monungai. He was drafted after Brashard Smith. He was making plays. Those were guys that are directly under the tutelage of Eric Bieniemy out there in Chicago who are having good years. And Katie, I want to tell you, outside of offensive line, where did the Chiefs really, really struggle on offense this year?
The run game.
And who is a run game whisperer? Eric Bieniemy. I mean, some of these guys, Spencer Ware, Charkandrick West, like Eric Bieniemy was getting good games out of them. And I think if you compare a good Chiefs run game with the passing attack, you might see some of these woes that the Chiefs have had over the last couple of years when Eric Bieniemy was not here get resolved. I think Andy Reid may be a pass-first offensive coach. Eric Bieniemy maybe have more of the run game, where more balance in the offense, less predictability. And when Eric Bieniemy was here, I know there were probably 3 future Hall of Famers on the offense, but the offense did look pretty good.
Yeah, and I can speak firsthand. I had both of the Bears running backs on my fantasy football team all season long, and they got me until the very end. 3rd place in my fantasy football league. I should have been first, but
well, I think a lot of the Bears fans, after they signed Swift from the Eagles, are like, this was a bust. Like, they had David Montgomery that they let walk to the Lions, who is obviously a very, very good football player. And Swift, I want to say he ran for like 1,100 yards this year. He's a good player.
He had a great year, and when he was out for a while, Monungai did really, really well. And then the two of them kind of split carries coming back in. And yeah, both were still doing well. So I mean, that I take that as a big sign, because the run game was just so abysmal this year in Kansas City. It was non-existent. Kansas City was one-dimensional, and a defense didn't have to make them become one-dimensional. They just were. They didn't have a run game. Obviously, you're a pass-first offense when you have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback. And you and I were kind of saying earlier, everyone wants the quarterback whisperer when it comes to a head coach, even when it comes to an offensive coordinator. Patrick Mahomes isn't a young quarterback. Might not be as important to have that,
That's
especially
a great
when you already
point.
have Andy Reid. If it's a young quarterback, rookie, 2nd year, Drake May, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, those type of guys, you want a quarterback whisperer. I don't think it's the biggest need in the world for the Chiefs to have one, especially when they're struggling in the other aspects of the offense.
I also love that you brought that up, and it's not that because I have tremendous respect for Matt Nagy, and I think he will be a tremendous head coach in the National Football League. But one thing that he kept saying a lot during training camp was they were working on Mahomes' footwork, that they're going to try to get the deep ball going and all this stuff. And as we saw over the season, I mean, that did not pan out. Like, did Patrick's footwork look a lot better? No. Did the deep ball ever happen? No. I mean, obviously there are other factors there. But I think one thing that is not being kind of hyped up enough around this, and I know Eric Bieniemy only spent 1 year in Chicago, but he does know now how Ben Johnson attacks defenses. He has spent an entire year with probably one of the best play callers in the NFL currently, outside of like Andy Reid, outside of Sean McVay, outside of Kevin O'Connell. I think Ben Johnson is right up there, maybe top 5 play caller in the National Football League. And Bieniemy obviously comes from the Chiefs tree. He knows how Andy Reid wants to call, but he's like, hey, a lot of Chiefs fans wanted maybe to bring in one of those guys from a Ben Johnson tree, from like a Mike McDaniel tree, from a Kyle Shanahan situation. But this is a little bit of kind of both, in my opinion, because you get the guy that's worked with the Chiefs, and you get with a guy who has worked with one of those new guys like a Ben Johnson. So I'm excited to see how this all pans out here in town.
Yeah, and we touched on it earlier, the whole, Andy Reid has one bad year in Kansas City, and this is how it started in Philadelphia, blah, 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 completely forgetting that he was a finalist for Coach of the Year last year, completely forgetting about his Super Bowls and his impressive resume.
And all the people saying that, were they in Philadelphia when that happened? No, they were here. I can't believe it. Sorry if I cut you off.
No, not at all. Brings us to the head coaching debate, and you talk about Ben Johnson and these successful first-year head coaches that have taken their teams to the playoffs and had big years, and they're the hotshot young guys, which everyone seems to want in the NFL. I mean, I would be lying if I said that I don't love, as growing up a Cowboys fan, seeing Schottenheimer, I like him. He's a young guy. He's got a lot of excitement. That's what a lot of fans want for their favorite NFL team. It's not always, the grass is not always greener on the other side, though. But everyone is seeming to want, they see the risk pay off sometimes, like it has in Chicago, like it has in Seattle. It doesn't always pay off that way, though. And the head coaching carousel madness is continuing right now. Sean McDermott has been fired in Buffalo following their divisional round loss in Denver. What were your initial thoughts when the news came out this morning?
Well, I feel like a lot of people yesterday, or Saturday, when we were watching them take on the Broncos, you kind of felt in many ways that, if Buffalo didn't get to the Super Bowl, or at the very least win the AFC, get to the Super Bowl, if not win it, that Sean McDermott would likely be out, because it's just like, how many times can you keep kind of doing the same thing and expecting a different result as they've done there in Buffalo? But on the flip side of this, it's like, I mean, the guy has, I think Marleo was telling me, he's taken the team to the playoffs in 8 of the 9 years that he's been there. Like, he has a big track record of success. I think we saw some of the players today put things out on social media, say that they did not like this decision, that that was pretty stupid.
They called him the best coach they've ever played for.
And it's like, I mean, has he been to the Super Bowl with the Buffalo Bills? No. But it's like, I mean, it's not just like, the grass is not always greener, but I'm interested because, I mean, that now becomes probably maybe the most attractive job in the NFL, because you have a player who is that, or Baltimore, I would have to say, is maybe the two most attractive jobs, because you have players who are MVP quarterbacks and expect to win, and you're ready to win. So
they're the only winning NFL teams from this season who are looking for head coaches, right? The Ravens and the Bills.
And it seems like those are two journeys that, for whatever reason, kind of reached the end of their path, and for different reasons. But boy, that job in Buffalo, I mean, the opportunity to coach Josh Allen, like we've seen him. If he protected the ball on Saturday, they probably would have won the game. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. What do you think about this? There's been a lot of staff shakeup here in the NFL.
It feels like the firing of Sean McDermott, to me, felt like, okay, they've, as a franchise, found success. They have their franchise quarterback. They're trying to do something that's going to get them over the hump. I feel the same way about the firing of Mike Tomlin, or I should say the stepping down of Mike Tomlin, whatever you want to call it in Pittsburgh. It feels very similar to me, where they're a team that is finding success, but not enough success in the postseason. And it just comes down to, is it the risk you're willing to take? Tennessee fired Mike Vrabel, and they shouldn't have. And now Mike Vrabel's in the AFC Championship in his first year with the Patriots. These teams are too quick to jump the gun very, very often. Maybe that's not the case here in Buffalo. Maybe it was time for a change. Same with John Harbaugh in Baltimore. They're looking to shake things up because something's not working. You know what I think isn't working in Buffalo? They don't have enough talent on their team. They have Josh Allen. They have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. They have James Cook. They have one of the best running backs in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, before we get off the point of the Bills, I do want to say this, because my wife and I were watching that over the weekend, and when Buffalo lost, she made a very funny comment, at least to me. She goes, well, at least they can't blame the Chiefs anymore.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, they lost to the Broncos, and Josh Allen had all those turnovers. Like, I mean, I guess they could blame the officials, because that was – Katie, we have to talk about that call. Because, all right, for those of you, if you didn't watch the game, and I'm sure many of you did, there was a play late in the fourth quarter. Josh Allen throws it up to Brandon Cooks, who appears to momentarily come down with the football. But in the exchange, there's a Bronco defender who's also grabbing the football. They roll down, they fall down, they roll around, and when they pop up, the Denver football player had the ball, and they called it an interception. Now, Katie, to me, I don't necessarily have a problem with it being called an interception, but what I had a problem with was them not reviewing the play.
Yes.
This was a play that would change really would change the outcome of the game. And the coaches did not have the ability to challenge, since it happened in overtime. What did you think of the NFL's non-review of probably one of the biggest plays in the postseason?
It was bad. You got to review that. You have to review that. Something that questionable, something that requires that much attention to detail, looking over it frame by frame and all that. You got to just take a few minutes to review that. And that's coming from someone who was here very late Saturday night, because the game went into overtime. It was on our air and delayed our 10 o'clock newscast in KC Sports Tonight. I would have been fine staying an extra 5 minutes so that they could review it and get it right.
Yeah.
To me, I think it was a catch. I think he was down by contact. Yeah. There is also the point of debate where, when we slow things down, it seems more like a catch than maybe it was in real time. Did he have it? You get into the debate of how long must you possess it for it to count as a catch. Slowed down, it looks like a catch. I'm not an official in the NFL. I'm not paid to be. I don't know. That's my opinion. But I do think that in a game like that, in the divisional round, just review it. Why would you not review it?
No, that it was a complete joke by the National Football League to not review it. And, like, the complaints that Buffalo fans, like, I know in Kansas City we have no love for the Buffalo Bills, but those fans are absolutely right in the fact that the NFL ripped them off by not reviewing that play. And I think if you kind of look at maybe the bigger implications of that play, I mean, should it count as a completed catch? Should they say Cooks is down by contact? And should the Bills go on to win the game? We're not talking about Sean McDermott being fired today. We're not talking about an opening there for the Buffalo Bills. We're talking about the Buffalo Bills getting ready for an AFC Championship game against likely they would have played the Patriots, an NFC East or AFC East matchup. I mean, it's just like I could not believe that at that stage of the game that they did not review the call. But I will say one thing that really did stand out to me is whenever there's kind of a controversial play at any level, like we shoot high school, college, NFL, of all levels of sports, the player reactions will tell you a lot of things that you need to know. And at least to me, unless there's a view or an angle that I have not seen, when the call was made on the field, Cooks got up and walked off the field. Like, he didn't go over to the referee, at least from what I know, and make a big scene out of it. And to me, that tells you a lot of information.
Yeah. You're not wrong. What did you watch all the? I know you had a busy weekend out of town. Did you watch all the divisional round games?
I watched a fair amount of them. It was actually very, very cool to see. No, because we were watching the very end of that of the Bills game, overtime against the Broncos. Obviously, neither team that I really want to win. Not a lot of love for them here in Kansas City. Denver goes on to win that game in overtime. Very exciting. And then I flip over to watch the next game, and there was that immediate kickoff return for a touchdown. And I was like, what is going on here? Like, it was an unbelievable weekend. And I didn't realize this until I saw it today, but someone said the Seahawks didn't need to score one more point after that. No. They scored 7 points after the PAT was good, and the 49ers only had 6. Yeah. So that was the game-winning play on the very first play of the game.
They were quite injury-riddled, those poor 49ers, but that was a beatdown.
Hey, football is a game of attrition. Everybody knows that. Like, it's a physical, violent game, and that's why I know it's corny. People crack up, but there are coaches that what's the best ability? Durability, because you got to stay on the football field.
Yeah. But luckily, I mean, we don't like to see games like that in the playoffs because we want to see close games, entertaining games. I mean, unless you're, of course, a Seahawks fan, I'm sure all of Seattle loved seeing that game, and they were having the times of their lives out there in Washington. But for the most part, all the games this weekend were really, really good. The Rams-Bears game.
Oh, thriller.
Caleb Williams is just
Patrick
addicted
Mahomes-esque.
to comebacks. Like, that throw to the tight end in the end zone. That was a heck of a throw.
I got a question for you, Katie, because I feel like ever since like Patrick Mahomes has kind of become a 3-time Super Bowl champion and the best quarterback in all of football, everyone's kind of been like, oh, that shades of Mahomes. This guy is shades of Mahomes. The most shades of Mahomes I might have ever seen was that 4th and 4 or whatever it was touchdown last night, because that was a play. It was just like he's running for his life. You don't expect him to make a play, and then it just happens. And I was like, there's one guy I've seen do that in the National Football League, and it's Patrick Mahomes. But now I can say it too, Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I have thought that Caleb Williams is a talented quarterback. In the same way that we talk about Cam Young, like
Cam Ward,
sorry, Cam Young.
Cam Young is a tremendous golfer.
Who's Cam? I'm like, who's
He's
Cam
a great
Young?
driver of the
Where
golf
did that
ball
name
from Sleepy
come
Hollow
from?
Golf Club in New York.
Cam Ward. I'm like, Mark went to Miami. He'll know.
Cam Ward plays like Patrick Mahomes, but he has not played at the NFL level like Caleb Williams did yesterday.
And I think that Caleb Williams in his first year was just a victim of being on a horrible team. He was first overall draft pick, and he was playing like it because he was surrounded by zero talent.
You know what he needed? Eric Bieniemy coaching the running backs.
Yes. Open up the game for
That's
Caleb
what opened
Williams.
up the game for Caleb
Just
Williams.
like how it's going to happen in Kansas City when Mahomes comes back next year. But yeah, I have never once thought that Caleb Williams was like a bad investment, washed, not as good as he was in college. I knew that he was going to develop into being a good quarterback in the NFL. And he's proven that this year. The most entertaining part of Caleb Williams is his comebacks. He's like addicted to making them. He's entertaining to watch.
I think it's 8 comebacks in the final 2 minutes this year, including the postseason, most in the NFL.
Yeah.
Clutch gene.
Clutch Caleb Williams. Gonna come for Cam Ward too. I'm calling it. He's just on horrible, god awful team. Poor guy. But yeah, so entertaining games all around except for in Seattle. We got 2 good championship games next week. Make your quick pick. Broncos, Patriots?
Oh, Patriots. Broncos, Bo Nix is out. They don't have a chance.
I agree with you.
What are you? Oh, you're picking Patriots?
Yeah.
Okay, and then what? In the NFC, we have Seahawks,
Seattle, and the Rams. And my original pick for the Super Bowl going into the playoffs was Bills-Rams. So I'm going to pick the Rams to upset Seattle so that I can at least maybe still be half right.
I mean, Seattle is playing phenomenal, but that injury to Sam Darnold has me worried. And, boy, there were some throws yesterday that Matt Stafford made. I mean, that showed why he was a first-team All-Pro. There was one late in the game that he threw to Devontae Adams. He had 1 inch on either side of the football to fit it in that window, and he did it. And it was just like, all right, what are you going to do? Like, you can have the best defender in the world. It's not going to stop that. So I'm scared of the Rams. I think the Rams are going to get it.
All year. Yeah. All right. Well, that'll close out our NFL discussion. We had a big story today at the high school level in the area that you might have seen in our 5 o'clock newscast. If not, you can go watch it online. I believe our great friend Gabe has already put it out online for us. Over the weekend, a Kansas referee went viral for an incident at a girls' basketball game between Bonner Springs and Eudora, right here outside the KC Metro, Friday night, where he issues a double technical foul to a girls' basketball player, walks over to the bench to seemingly talk about it with the player and the head coach. The player appears to, from an alternate angle on the broadcast, kind of just tap him a little bit. Maybe it was accidental, maybe it wasn't, we don't know. And he falls backwards. The internet has eaten it up, has millions of views, and everyone's accusing him of flopping. We have the update on that story today. I was able to get in contact with that official, and I will just read you his statement that he has given us. He says, I have a medical condition. I am visiting my neurologist tomorrow, hopefully, and will have additional information after that. Ask my fellow officials, coaches, athletic directors, etc. about me. My reputation is stellar. I do not want any additional punishment for that player, coach, or school. It was not their fault. So that is what we are hearing. Keisha has told us an official statement today that he will be taking a break from officiating for the foreseeable future. Your thoughts, Mark?
Obviously, I hope if there is a significant health issue that it does get resolved. But flopping, no place for that in the game of basketball, no matter who it's from. But I do want to say I don't want people to kind of dunk and trash officials out of all this, because Katie, you and I have covered high school sports for a very long time, and the number one problem in high school sports right now is a huge lack of officials. That's what they need. Like, you need officials to run the games, and I think a lot of these people, a lot of parents, a lot of people around the sport have really just taken so many people out of the referee pool because they treat them so horribly. Like, you and I go to these games, like, these parents, no offense to your kids, but a lot of them are not Division I athletes. They just aren't. Like, they are not going to play Division I sports. And sometimes the way that these parents act, it's like one call made by one official who's making probably minimum wage and who is like 24 years old. They think that's like robbing their kid of a college scholarship. I am not going to trash referees right here, because sports as a whole needs them, and they need to be treated with respect. And look, guys, referees, we talk to them before games. Like, they have no dog in the fight. Like, they're out there. They usually are from somewhere in the community that's probably like 30, 40 minutes away. Like, they don't really have big ties to a lot. Like, they don't care who wins or loses. They just want to officiate the game and go home. And they're trying to give back to the game by being an official. So I wish, obviously, this situation is a very atypical situation, but I hope people out there, if they're listening to this, if they're watching this, like, please remember to treat the officials with respect, because we need them to have these games. Yeah, and another point is that a lot of these officials just officiate because they just like being around high school sports. Like, they love the game. Like, I'm sure they played basketball their whole life. But, when you're older, after you've graduated, many people, their career ends after they graduate high school, and they just want to keep being in the game, being around the game. And for some people, that's through officiating. So I hope, obviously, more people go out to become a ref and help give back to these sports. Yeah, and you can check out our story on that on KCTV5.com. Mark, I'm giving you 4 minutes to tell us why your Hurricanes are going to win the national championship. All right, folks, buckle up. Tonight, the Miami Hurricanes have a date with destiny. We are the 10 seed taking on the 1 seed Indiana Hoosiers in the college football championship. And for some reason, Indiana is favored by 7.5 points. I don't understand. Indiana, yes, they're undefeated, but Miami is playing on their home football field. Miami is going to use their home locker room. These things matter. Also, look, yeah, does Indiana have the Heisman Trophy winner? Yeah, but we have the best defensive line in America. Like, we have the best offensive line in America. You look at the talent on both these teams. You go position by position, Miami's going to win more of those battles than they're going to lose. But still, for some reason, the country is enamored with this Indiana team. But what I'm expecting, they're coming into Miami, and they are going to get a dogfight unlike anything they have ever experienced. The physicality of the teams in the Big Ten did not prepare them to take on this Miami team. Like, yeah, did they beat Ohio State? Yeah, they beat them 13-10. We beat them 24-14. We took it to the defending national champions. We didn't beat them by a field goal. We beat them by 2 scores. I know people are excited about Indiana, but Indiana has got to play a team that's bigger than them, a team that's faster than them, a team that's more physical than them, and a team that is, at the end of the day, more violent. Football is a physical game, and mass kicks ASS. And we're bigger than them. We're going to push them around. Miami's going to win.
All right, you heard it first. ACC, Mark
ACC,
Poulose.
baby. All right, well, let's get Katie Maher. You're unbiased on this. Let me hear what you have to say. Miami or Indiana? Give me your thoughts.
I mean, that was so convincing. Now maybe I am feeling more Miami. I'm thinking Indiana. That's not news for Mark, though, because today, literally, like 8 people have walked into our sports office to just talk to Mark about the national championship. Asking why Mark is here and not in Miami right now.
Well, tickets are $3,500 to get in the door.
Come on, for a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And what do you say to that? It's not a once-in-a-lifetime experience when
Mario Cristobal is the head football coach. Because, I mean, order has been restored to the college football universe. College football is better when the Miami Hurricanes are a fun and engaging team. I think you've seen that through the viewing numbers this year. The ACC, by far the number one watched team was the University of Miami, and it was not even close. People love to tune in and watch the Hurricanes. One more note, though, about Indiana. Boy, I know they're the number 1 overall seed, but who do they play? Alabama, who lost to who? Florida State. Alabama was not a good football team this year, and they got blown out multiple times. They got a spot in the end of the college football playoff because the SEC bias that exists within this world. Unbelievable. And then who do they play after that? Oregon, who has both coordinators out the door, who has hardly any, they had to call in a running back who's going to play next year at Kansas State to come in and play that game. Oregon did not look like they wanted to be on the football field. They were ripe to get smoked, and they got absolutely smoked by Indiana. Were those good wins? Yes, but look at Miami's journey. Miami had to go to College Station, beat Texas A&M. They did that. Then they had to take on Ohio State at the Cotton Bowl. Ohio State had won the Cotton Bowl 2 years in a row. They were the defending national champions. What did Miami do? Out-physicaled them, out-muscled them, and won the game. Then what did they have to do? Take on Ole Miss, who maybe had the best quarterback outside of Fernando Mendoza in the tournament, and Trinidad Chambliss, who beat Georgia, who won the SEC. Miami wins that game, shows the clutch gene. Miami's had to win games many different ways this year. And another note, they have not lost by more than 3 points in 2 seasons. Indiana's favored by 7.5 points. Miami hasn't lost by 3 points in 2 seasons.
If Indiana doesn't get out to a big start, they're in trouble.
It's
that
over.
Is what I will
Could be
say.
a massacre at the Rock, baby.
Could be a massacre. All right, you heard it there first. Also, I think that college football is better when the Maryland Terrapins are good.
When has that ever been?
But that's never really been. So
yeah.
Maybe one day we'll find out how
could be a hypothetical good day.
How great college football could be when the Maryland Terrapins are finally good.
U is back, baby.
Woo! All
We're
right.
here.
Mark's going to have a great night tonight watching his Canes. Thanks for joining us on KC Sports Tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 5:30.